Hello, if you've been watching my YouTube channel, you will have seen my engine working. You would have seen my propeller turning, but what you haven't seen is the bit in between. Today I'm going to show you how the powertrain on a working narrowboat works. This is the Lister JP2 engine in Victoria, and the power that it produces is controlled by a gearbox. This engine is a marine type engine that actually has been built with use in boats in mind, and so this gearbox is actually integral to the engine itself. The oiling comes from the main oiling of the engine. We can have a look inside here, and so we're going to take this plate off. Now originally I think these bolts would have been Whitworth, but whether it's wear and tear, rust, or whether these bolts have been replaced, which I suspect is likely, this 14mm ring spanner seems to do the best job. So I'm going to remove these. It's always the funnest part. I have loosened all of these a little, just so that it's a little quicker to do. One of the important things is to make sure you don't lose the bolts. Unfortunately, because they are being oiled by the engine, you get very black oil in here. So that might be amusing to see how well it comes out on the video. Okay. Now this plate normally has a gasket, and that helps seal the plate from all the oil that's running around in there. Take this plate off and make sure the gasket comes with it all in one place. Now we can start to see some more interesting things, but I think it'd be better if you have a closer look at it while I clean my hands. Well, welcome to the inside of the gearbox. As you can see, there's quite a lot going on in there, and you can only really see once things start moving. So I'm going to put the starter handle on the engine. At the moment, the gearbox is set in its neutral location. As I turn the engine, you can see this ring moving, and that is connected to the crankshaft on the engine. However, with it in the neutral position, that's just freely spinning. However, when we push it into forward gear, and I'll show you that action again, this here moves forwards and pushes against here. That's pushing a cone into that previously spinning bit, and that cone there now bonds to the intake. So when I turn it, you can see that the whole gearbox is now turning, and more importantly the output shaft. So if I turn this, you can see that the output shaft is turning. Now you might have noticed that when I put it in gear, this bit moves forwards and pushes on here. this has an adjustment. So you free this bolt off, turn the screw, lock it back up again, and that's so when the clutch is wearing, you can tighten the clutch up as you go along. It's should be reasonably well set, and you can always tell that there's a slight amount of resistance before it goes all the way home, and that's how you know that it's set correctly. If it's too free and easy, or there's too much resistance, then you need to adjust it. The trick is to have just enough that the prop doesn't slip unless you get something serious around it, and then it's better for it to slip because it won't break anything. Just remember that there are two of these adjustments to make, and the easiest way to turn the gearbox is have it in gear, turn the engine until it's at the top, and then adjust it without any tension on it. Now you've seen the forwards and clutch positions, let's have a look at how the reverser works. What I'll do is I'll turn the engine and I'll put the box into reverse. You can see this far more clearly from this angle. So let me explain what's happening. When the gearbox is put into reverse, a rod pushes the reverser arm upwards, the other side is pulled downwards with a greater force and closes up this brake band that you can see going around the outside here. This allows planetary gears to run the prop shaft in reverse. I won't go into how these systems work because there's far better videos on YouTube. But again, we have adjustments on here to ensure the correct amount of tension is placed upon the brake band. And again, with the correct size Whitworth spanner, this nut can be released. There is a screw that can be adjusted, and the locking nut put back in place again. We've covered the gearbox. However, to get the power in the water better, a reduction box is used to reduce the speed. So we go from the engine's maximum speed of 1200 RPM to a prop shaft speed of 600 RPM. This is a 2-to-1 box. Now the reason I know it's a 2-to-1 box is if I turn the engine twice, the shaft only turns once. See if I can do that, if it's in gear of course. However, rather confusing that the part number for this actually has a 3 in it. I think it's 3GR, but it actually is the reduction box housing rather than the reduction of the unit itself. Now, this is a water cooled unit, the water from the canal comes through this first and then into the engine. However, on a JP2 it never gets hot enough to worry about it, so this is often bypassed on a lot of JP2 installations. And to be fair, I wouldn't imagine it'd get overly hot on a JP3 installation either. It never seems to get even slightly warm. On Victoria it goes onto a lorry shaft. That means we don't have to worry too much about alignment, and in fact it's slightly better if it's slightly unaligned, so that the joints slightly move as it rotates, thus giving some lubrication, obviously if they're properly greased, which probably needs to be done again on this. It's been a long while since I've been under here. The lorry shaft is just a way of getting the power further back towards where the propeller is. Now originally there was a rubber coupling from the lorry shaft onto the prop shaft. However, it was very prone to shearing, as some may have seen in the gravel video. So after that rather disastrous run, I upgraded and got a load bearing. It goes into the end of the prop shaft. And then onto the propeller. I just thought I'd better cover how the gear rod works. It's a long shaft, supported in a couple of places. In fact, that's the main support really, and it also runs through here. And what it's doing is there is a weird and wonderful arrangement that allows it to move straight and forwards and backwards while still allowing the rotation movement. It is a bit loose and it is a bit noisy, and it's not the best solution, but it does the job, and that's connected straight down to the gearbox. There's still some small amount of movement on the top shaft. This is quite common to be easy to stop the motion. Just a little bit of play and the oil between the cone.